respected fellow practitioners and guests. Buddhism is an education about our living environment and us. The Buddha taught us to reflect on our thoughts, speech, and behavior, and to consider the consequences they evoke. Most importantly, he wanted us to restore our original, complete wisdom. He taught that everyone possesses the ability to attain complete understanding of life and the universe. But because of delusion, we are currently unable to understand. Blinded by discriminatory, wandering thoughts and attachments, we have forgotten the original purity of mind of our self-nature. We have therefore caused ourselves much unnecessary suffering. To counteract this, the Buddha taught us how to cultivate. His intent was mainly to help us to rid ourselves of our delusions and attachments. If we brought together the 6 paramitas, we would have the practice of giving. Giving simply means to let go. If we can let go of our greed, anger, ignorance, and arrogance, we would always dwell in purity of mind. If we can let go of all discriminations, worries, and attachments, we will have peace, spiritual liberation, long and healthy lives. If we can let go of our own viewpoints and work together for the benefit of all others, we will achieve harmony with others, societal stability, and ultimately world peace. From this, we can see that the main practice of the Buddha's teachings is simply letting go. When Buddha Shakyamuni was in our world, he not only used words to teach, but made an example of himself for all others to follow. He let go of all desires, worldly attachments, fame, and wealth to lead the life of a monk. He lived a life of simplicity, purity of mind and body, and happiness. Ordinary people might view his life as bitter and miserable, but this is only due to lack of understanding. One with wisdom would view things very differently, for they would see the Buddha's life as one of true liberation, happiness, and fulfillment. The Buddha does not have useless thoughts, discriminations, wandering thoughts, or worries. He is perfectly contented. He accords with all conditions. He emanates wisdom in every thought and deed to teach all other sentient beings. The Buddhas live lives of wisdom. We live lives of anxiety. The Buddha's teachings show us how to change afflicted lives into lives of great wisdom. From these teachings, we will learn how to restore the ultimate and complete wisdom and abilities of our original self-nature. This will allow us to attain true happiness and prosperity. In our world today, there are at least 5 different types of Buddhism. The first is the authentic Buddhism, the education of understanding the true reality of life and the universe. This is what was originally taught by Buddha Shakyamuni. When the Buddha was in our world, he would give a teaching in response to a question. After he taught, his students would give rise to more questions. He would reply by asking a question in return to help his students realize the answers for themselves. This was essentially a classroom discussion. He neither conducted ceremonies nor performed rituals. Unfortunately, this authentic, original education is rare today and difficult to encounter. The remaining types of Buddhism are more or less deviations of this original type. The second form is religious Buddhism. Originally, it was not a religion, but now it has become one. We can no longer deny this because everywhere we look, especially in the East, it is displayed as a religion. Unlike the learning centers of the past, which held 8 hours of classes a day and provided another 8 hours for cultivation, today, this practice is no longer upheld. We mainly see people making offerings and praying for blessings and good fortune. In this way, Buddhism has been mistakenly changed into a religion, and often, much worse, into mere superstition. Recently, I was speaking with some people who were not Buddhists, knowing very little about Buddhism as an education. They did not even see it as a religion. They saw it as mere superstition. They saw people bowing and prostrating before an altar that contained flowers, fruits, candles, images of many different people. They saw people reading and reciting, heard others giving talks. They had seen people rush into temples, light incense, quickly do 3 prostrations, and rush right out again. They questioned why we were doing all this. They questioned why this was not superstition. Their questions were legitimate. We go to learning centers not to worship the Buddha, but to remind ourselves to be awakened and not deluded, proper and not deviated, pure and not polluted. We prostrate to the Buddha to pay our respects and to thank him for bringing us the teachings. We prostrate to the Bodhisattvas to thank them for teaching us of wisdom and practice. The flower, the fruit, reminds us of cause and effect. Flowers represent the cause. Fruit represents the effect. Without the flowers, we would not have the fruit. Without a cause, we will not have the effect. We light candles to remind ourselves of the importance of giving of ourselves to help all others. We read and recite sutras to remind ourselves of the teachings, to see that our thoughts, words, and deeds accord with the teachings of the Buddhas. We chant Amitabha to replace our wandering thoughts with the utmost good thought of Amitabha, and to seek birth into the Western Pure Land. We seek birth into the Pure Land to learn how to help all beings transcend the suffering of reincarnation. We give talks to help others understand the teachings of the Buddhas, so that they will be able to attain achievement in their practice due to their understanding. Those who rushed in and out so quickly simply had never learned the true teachings, and they were missing out on an unbelievably rare opportunity. They did not learn the wisdom of responsibility, compassion, serenity, and peace. The third type of Buddhism is the philosophical study of Buddhism, often seen at universities. But the content of the Buddha's education is a complete university in philosophy, is only one of its courses. Just as it would be wrong to think of a university as a single course, it is incorrect to view Buddhism as a single course of philosophy. The Buddha's education can help us to resolve all our problems, from family difficulties to the great issue of birth and death. The Buddha's teachings are profound and vast. They teach us the truth of the universe. They should not be mistaken as only a philosophy. The fourth type is that of a show with a few hours of music and dancing with a short talk in between. The fifth type of Buddhism that we see in our world today is by far the very worst deviation of Buddhism. This is an extremely unfortunate deviation, which only came to be in the past 30 to 40 years. Religious Buddhism persuades people to be good, to be decent. philosophical Buddhism teaches people to pursue the truth. However, if Buddhism is changed into the fifth form, into a deviant path, into a cult, using the weakness of human nature to cheat and harm living beings, then this deviation has gone too far. The speech and the words of these deviant paths can be very attractive, very enticing. We should be very careful not to be misled by these deviant paths, or regretting will come too late. We need to recognize these four types and think carefully as to which way is most beneficial to us. We need to decide out of the entire five which one we will follow. Our goal in studying Buddhism is to uncover our wisdom. To attain this goal, we seek purity of mind. In today's society, our greatest obstacles come from television, radio, newspapers, magazines. These all contain content that can pollute our minds. We often encourage people to not even read or listen to these. When our hearts, our minds, are free from these unneeded afflictions, we will be able to live each day in peace and happiness. In this way, our minds will return to purity. With an undiluted mind, we will see life more clearly than others do. This is because a settled and concentrated mind is a mind of wisdom. The key in cultivating the Buddha's teachings is a settled and calm mind. In practicing the Pure Land method, purity of mind is of foremost importance. The Infinite Life Sutra teaches us to cultivate purity, equality, and enlightenment. Being mindful of these is cultivating awakening, equality, and enlightenment. In China, Buddhism is divided into 10 schools. Aside from the first 2 Theravada schools, the 8 remaining ones belong to the Mahayana schools. 2 schools, Zen and Xing, enter the Buddhist teachings through the method of enlightenment. They seek the great enlightenment, to understand the heart, the mind, to uncover through the method of enlightenment. Usually, those of lesser capabilities to become enlightened, to seek to uncover their true self-nature, on their own have much difficulty in reaching their goals through this method. Thus, to cultivate the Zen school requires a high level of wisdom, ability, and purity of mind. Without these, one would have to start learning from the basis of Buddha Shakyamuni's teachings. The study of these teachings is to help establish proper understanding and viewpoints. Thus, the method of proper viewpoints and knowledge is used here to enter the Buddha's teachings. There are 4 schools in this category: Tian Tai, Xian Shou, Fa Xiang, and San Lun. Practitioners of these schools study and follow the teachings to correct their erroneous views and behavior. Most people are capable of learning these methods, but it takes a very long time, like going to school. One starts from elementary school, then gradually advances grade by grade, from junior high to high school, from high school to college, from college to graduate school. In finishing one grade, one attains the benefits of that one grade. The final 2 schools are the Pure Land and the Esoteric or Tibetan school. These stress the importance of cultivating purity of mind. People of all capabilities, regardless of whether they are intelligent or less able, can practice the Pure Land school. All can practice and succeed in the Pure Land method. On the other hand, the esoteric school requires a high level of purity of mind, making it much more difficult to attain achievement. The difference between the cultivation in the Pure Land school and the esoteric school is that the Pure Land school teaches us to cultivate purity of mind away from pollution. The esoteric school teaches us to cultivate purity of mind in the midst of pollution. The latter involves a state of being immersed in pollution but not being contaminated by it. Understandably, this state is much more difficult than most people are able to understand and attain achievement in. True wisdom arises from purity of mind. Thus, the wisdom spoken of in the Buddha's teachings is not attained from reading and studying books. The wisdom we attain from reading and studying is only worldly knowledge, not the Buddha's wisdom, our innate wisdom. True wisdom is the wisdom of our self-nature. It is complete with infinite wisdom, virtues, and abilities. These qualities are present in everyone's self-nature. We need to learn how to uncover this self-nature, to uncover these abilities. Buddha is purity, equality, enlightenment. The Buddha's teachings can be summarized into 10 basic qualities. The first 5 are virtues. True sincerity towards others, purity of mind within, equality in everything we see, proper understanding of life and the universe, compassion in helping others in a wise, unemotional, and unconditional way. Attaining these 5 virtues, we will be able to see through to the truth of impermanence, to let go of all wandering thoughts and attachments, to attain purity of mind and spirit, to accord with conditions, to go along with the situation, to be mindful of Buddha Amitabha, to follow his teachings and vow to be born into the Western Pure Land. The first 5 qualities represent the Buddha's heart and the virtues of our self-nature. Presently, we are unable to completely manifest these qualities due to our lack of cultivating the latter 5. Diligent practice is needed for us to bring out these virtues of the self-nature already within us. The ultimate goal in learning Buddhism is the great perfection. In all walks of life, enlightened beings act as role models for us to follow. Students of the Buddha can be good examples for all others. Families that follow the Buddha's teachings can behave in a way that is worthy of being role models for all families. If one is still a student, then one's schoolwork, conduct, and health all become examples for one's classmates. In going to work or running a business, one can be a role model for all business people, for all employees to follow. Thus, everything in Buddhism is number 1. A family dwelling in perfect wisdom is the most content, fortunate, and most happy family in the world. Buddhism is an education of wisdom. It encompasses all things and exceeds the boundaries between countries, races, and religions. Since Buddhism is an education, followers of all religions, all belief systems are welcome and can learn and cultivate this education of wisdom. In the Visualization Sutra, the 3 conditions are the foundation for our cultivation of Buddhism. upon perfecting these three conditions, we will have complete wisdom, good fortune, virtue. The first condition consists of being filial to our parents, respectful to our teachers and elders, being compassionate and not killing any living beings, and following the 10 good conducts. The second condition follows the 3 practices that are based on cultivating the self. We take refuge in the Triple Jewels, abide by the precepts, rules, and customs, and conduct ourselves in a proper and dignified manner. The third condition consists of 4 practices. We follow the practices of bodhisattvas and generate the Bodhi mind, the great mind of understanding and compassion for all sentient beings. We deeply believe in the law of cause and effect. We recite and uphold the teachings in the Mahayana Sutras. And finally, we encourage others on the path to enlightenment. Altogether, these 11 practices each have a profound and extensive meaning and need to be put into our everyday lives, incorporated into our lives. They are the foundation of the 49 years of Buddha Shakyamuni's teachings. Mahayana Buddhism in China is often represented by the 4 great bodhisattvas, which are represented by 4 famous mountains. First is Earth Treasure Bodhisattva of Jiuhua Mountain, representing filial piety and respect. Second is Great Compassion Bodhisattva of Putal Mountain, representing great compassion. Third is Great Wisdom Bodhisattva of Utai Mountain, representing great wisdom. Fourth is Universal Worthy Bodhisattva of Ame Mountain, representing true practice. These 4 great bodhisattvas represent the core of cultivation. As beginners, we start learning from Earth Treasure Bodhisattva. For the earth is the basis of all life for all beings. Because the earth nurtures all life and is the treasury of all that is precious, the Buddha uses it to represent the earth ground, the earth mind. Our original nature is complete with infinite wisdom, virtues, and abilities. We need to learn how to open this treasure to obtain its benefits. Earth Treasure Bodhisattva teaches us to do this by being filial to our parents and respectful to our elders and teachers. For in these practices lies the key to uncovering our self-nature, to finding the treasure within our self-nature. Filial piety sounds very simple, but its meaning is very profound. Our parents have shown us great compassion, great kindness in bringing us up and educating us. Therefore, we should not only nurture their aging bodies, but we should also nurture their spiritual well-being and minds, thus helping them to be happy. This is practicing filial piety. We should strive to do our best in living up to our parents' expectations. When they wish us to be good people, to benefit society, we should do so. For children in school, it would be unfilial to do poorly in schoolwork, for this would cause our parents to be worried and disappointed. It would be unfilial if our conduct was poor, if our health was bad, if we were disrespectful to our teachers, if we could not get along with others. After reaching adulthood and entering society, it would be unfilial to be rebellious towards our supervisors, unable to cooperate with our fellow workers. This would cause our parents again to worry. From these, we can just begin to realize how encompassing the cultivation of filial piety really is. And in this way, we will learn that Buddhism is actually a teaching of filial piety. The perfection of Buddhism, of filial piety in Buddhism, is only completed upon attaining unsurpassed, perfect, complete enlightenment. Today, humanity has been seriously polluted in heart, mind, spirit, and body, thus leading to the appearance of many strange diseases and illnesses. The basic cause of these is pollution. If our body and mind are pure, we will not fall ill or grow old. To not become ill or grow old is true happiness and good fortune. To attain these, we only need to learn and cultivate according to the Buddha's teachings. In our world today, where foods are polluted by poisons, we should practice compassion, for it is the antidote for all poisons. The Buddha said, everything arises from the mind. Thus, a pure, equal, and enlightened mind naturally brings health to our body. When we recite morning and evening ceremonies in front of the image of the Buddha and Bodhisattvas, It is just as if we were vowing to abide by their teachings in their very presence. Morning recitation acts as a reminder, preventing us from forgetting the Buddha's teachings and reminding us to act accordingly throughout the day. Evening recitation is to remind us to reflect on the day's practice, to check if we really followed the Buddha's teachings. If we did, then we can work even harder the next day. If we did not, then we need to reform, to seek to renew ourselves every day. Only by practicing in this way can the true benefits be attained. Morning and evening ceremonies are the most basic practices in our learning Buddhism. For one who wishes to become a student of the Buddha, we can first learn from Maitreya Bodhisattva, better known in the West as the Happy Buddha. Maitreya Bodhisattva represents the two most basic conditions necessary to becoming a Buddhist: a smiling face and a big heart. These are represented by his very large stomach. All the Buddha images serve to remind us of the teachings and are not idols to be worshipped. The Happy Buddha, Maitreya Bodhisattva, teaches us to give rise to a non-discriminatory mind and to be happy. In this way, we will be able to enter the Buddha way. The content of the teachings is infinitely profound and vast. Understanding them can help in our living, work, in our interacting with others, in our handling of objects and matters. Buddhism truly teaches, it truly surpasses the boundaries of nationality, race, religion, of group, of ethnicity. It encompasses everything. It is truly a perfect, complete education. One of the first steps in our learning of Buddhism is taking refuge, which means to return to and rely upon. When we take refuge in the Buddha, we are returning from our deluded state of mind and returning and relying upon an awakened, enlightened mind. When we take refuge in the Dharma, we are returning from deviant views and relying upon proper views and understanding. When we take refuge in the Sangha, we are returning from pollution and disharmony and returning to and relying upon purity of mind and the 6 principles of harmony. Taking refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha restores the complete wisdom and abilities of our self-nature. We will attain purity, equality, sincerity, freedom, compassion, and overall true happiness. Buddha is a Sanskrit word meaning awareness and enlightenment. When we take refuge in the Buddha, we vow to return from blind faith and delusion and rely upon understanding and awareness as a way of life. Images of the Buddha remind us to practice this awareness and understanding, and are not objects of worship. Prostrating and showing respect towards these images are only ways to counter arrogance and to cultivate humility. This is taking refuge in the Buddha. Dharma means proper understanding and viewpoints. Delusion has obstructed us from seeing the truth and has caused us to look at life and the universe in a distorted, deviant way. When delusion is cleared away and our minds are pure, we will uncover our wisdom. With wisdom, we will be able to see everything clearly and completely. When our hearts are pure, we will be able to see the past, the present, and the future. Only when we have clearly seen the whole can our viewpoint and understanding be considered proper. The Buddha's mind is pure, without the slightest pollution, and therefore sees everything perfectly and clearly. We can rely upon the sutras, recorded teachings of the Buddhas, because they speak entirely of the truths that the Buddhas have seen. They teach and show us the way to attain purity of mind, to see everything most clearly, to be just like enlightened beings. When we see sutras, we immediately bring forth a mind of respect and remind ourselves to cultivate proper understanding and viewpoints. This is taking refuge in the Dharma. Sangha means purity and harmony. Today, our world is filled with pollution of mind, spirit, body. Even the earth and the very atmosphere are hazardly polluted. The Buddha taught the environment changes according to the mind, we can return from all pollution and rely upon purity of mind. Purity of mind is the key to saving our earth. There is also much disharmony today in our world among families, friends, relatives, countries. This has brought much suffering, many disasters. The Buddha taught us to rely upon the 6 principles of living in harmony, to establish harmonious relationships among others and ourselves. The Sangha also refers to a group of 4 or more persons who practice together the Buddha's teachings and abide by the 6 principles of harmony. This includes monks and nuns that we may encounter. When we see them, we should immediately give rise to a mind of purity and harmony. This is taking refuge in the Sangha. To have the mind of purity and harmony at all times is not easy. For example, it can be very tiresome to do the same kind of housework every day. This is especially so for homemakers. It seems as if one cannot be free of household chores for a single day. And many become greatly troubled by their duties. However, if we can learn to change our way of looking at things, we will be able to change, to perform our chores with great joy. Much of the problem is that ordinary people are so attached to self. They think, I am doing all this work. Poor me. I am so tired. Why should I do this for them? The more they think this way, the more afflicted they become. If we were to learn the Bodhisattva way, the way of understanding and enlightenment, and vow to universally help all beings, then our viewpoints would be very different. In following the Bodhisattva path, the first thing we learn is the practice of giving. By serving the family at home, the homemaker Bodhisattva is already cultivating giving, which includes the giving of wealth, teaching, and fearlessness. The giving of wealth can be divided into inner and outer wealth. For example, outer wealth refers to making money for our family and providing the means for its support. Inner wealth refers to using our physical energy and wisdom to support, to care for our family. So the practice of giving can be done perfectly at home. When we do our work with care, we can bring comfort to the family and admiration from others. This is cultivating the practice of abiding by the paramitas, by the precepts. This simply means abiding by the rules of the country, society, family, and doing everything in an organized way. Endurance in doing our chores without complaint or fatigue is the practice of patience, seeking improvement every day, hoping that tomorrow's attainment will exceed that of today's, is cultivating the practice of diligence. Performing our many duties, but still maintaining a pure and undiluted mind, is the practice of deep concentration in purity of mind. It is not having discriminatory thoughts, wandering thoughts, or attachments. From within our purity of mind, we will give rise to wisdom and will be filled with inner peace and happiness. This is cultivating the practice of wisdom. Thus, with true understanding, we will discover that these 6 paramitas, 6 principles of giving, abiding by the precepts or self-discipline, patience, diligence, deep concentration, and wisdom can be practiced to perfection in all our everyday acts. Once we have performed our duties well, we will become role models for others all over the world and will set an example for all families to follow. Thus, not only can we help those around us, but extended, we can influence society, the country, even the world, in a positive way. From this, we can see that in everyday tasks, a homemaker bodhisattva is actually carrying out the great vow to help all sentient beings. This is truly being a student of the Buddhas. So if we can contemplate our duties in this way, whether we work at home or outside the home in the workplace, we will be filled with peace and happiness in all our work. How then could anything trouble us? The primary factor in learning and cultivating the Buddha's teachings is that we are able to practice them in our daily lives. Understanding this, we will be able to practice the 6 principles of bodhisattvas at home and at work. In all walks of life, whether we appear as a man, a woman, an elder, a child, we all can cultivate by living up to our own individual responsibilities. Cultivation and living are one. This is the life of an enlightened, of an awakened being. It is the ultimate and perfect enjoyment, the great perfection where everything is going as we wish, when we are contented with everything. It is to be liberated, to do all that is kind, all that is benevolent, all that is noble as we wish, to do all for the benefit of others, to help all beings. It is true joy. It is the true teachings of enlightened beings. Amitabha. Thank you.